Hey, Carol?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we only have 3 committee members so far, including yourself.
So who do we have so far? Because you're right, I can't see.
We have Councilors Humphrey and Greenberg. Oh,
Okay,
there's Councilor Lipoff is here as well.
all right, it's not quite seven, I don't, or is it? Yeah, it's 6:58, so we can give it a few more minutes.
Councilor Grossman just logged in too, so we now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 committee members.
Okay,
Councilor Gentile, this is Maureen, and just so you know, all of us who are presenting the different items are here in the chamber.
you're in the chamber? Okay, I was just gonna ask if anybody saw you.
So we're all here.
Okay, great. We'll give it just another minute or two. All right, so it's a little after seven. Why don't we get started? I'm expecting the other three committee members will be coming in. This is Monday, February the 3rd, and it is a special meeting of the Finance Committee. There are 3 items to take up this evening. Hopefully, we'll get those done before the start of the full city council meeting. First item is 9-25. It is Her Honor the Mayor requesting authorization to transfer and expend the sum of $393,900 from general fund current year wage reserve for the purpose
Recording in progress.
of funding the recently settled FY 2025 to 2027 collective bargaining agreements for AFSCME 3092 and 3092B and 2443. Maureen, I assume you're here for that?
I am, Mr. Chairman, and I hope, I don't have a full agenda with me here, but I hope that there was a letter with your agenda from the mayor asking for the amount to be amended to 493.9, so adding $100,000 to it and including the nurses as a third group that we settled an agreement with.
Okay. So why don't you go right ahead?
Okay, thank you. And so I'm happy to be here before you. We have settled, as you read, fiscals 25 through 27 with three groups, 3092, 3092B. They represent about 180 positions in the city. Our dispatchers, our library personnel, several of our planners, our inspectors, our municipal custodians, and our administrative staff throughout the municipal departments are all part of this group. So it's really a bunch of several different groups, but they're all part of 3092. And there are about 180 employees represented there. We have about 30, in fact, I think we have 31 budgeted nursing positions. So they're in the Mass Nurses Associate, they're under the Mass Nurses Association or affiliated with them. But those are our public school nurses. And then our foremen, who we have, I think, about 22 budgeted positions. They're mostly in public works, but there's, I think, one in public buildings and perhaps two in Parks, Rec, and Culture. And the foremen are AFSCME 2443. So we have about 230 positions that are covered in these three different groups. For the most part, we negotiated 3% COLAs for all 3 years. That has become our pattern, if you will, for the next 3-year period. In addition to that, there were very small items that were negotiated. There were different things that the city was looking to accomplish. One in particular is to minimize comp time that people have been able to accumulate, and instead to pay them outright for overtime. The nurses in particular, I think you all may be aware, we have had difficulty remaining fully staffed with our school nurses. If they earn comp time, then whenever a nurse wants to take comp time off, somebody else has to cover their position that day in a school. So if we don't have, and if we're not fully staffed, it means that we need to bring in staffing from a temp agency for the nurses. We have a similar instance in different areas for certainly our inspectors. We have a special agreement with our inspectors where we allow them to buy back 1 week of vacation each year because we know how busy they always are. Again, accumulating comp time is not something that the city is looking for. And so we had language in each of these different contracts looking for that. Otherwise, they were very straightforward negotiations.
All right, as Maureen mentioned, we do have a letter dated January the 21st of 2025 from the mayor asking for the additional 100,000 to cover the cost of settling the nurses contract. So we do have that. First, let me see, are there any questions for Maureen on the settlement and the requested amount? I'm gonna need some help if someone is in the chamber with their hand raised.
There are no hand raised.
All right, can I first get a motion then to amend the amount to 493.9 for the purpose of supporting the agreement with the nurses?
So moved.
Okay, motion is made. Who made that motion?
Council Lipoff.
Council Lipoff, thank you. Council Lipoff has moved the amendment. Any questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, then the motion passes. I see that we've been joined by Councilor Mickley, so if I have the count right, that gives us 6 members: Greenberg, Mickley, Gentile, Humphrey, Grossman, and Lipoff. Am I missing
Counselor-
anyone?
Counselor Bixby has joined in person.
Okay, Council Bixby, so that's 7, and we're just waiting on Council Maliki. All right, so that motion passes 7-0. On the main item as amended, are there any questions?
No one raises their hand.
Okay, seeing none. Can I get a motion to approve the item as amended?
So moved.
Okay, motion to approve the item as amended. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye, opposed, abstentions? Okay, the motion passes 7-0.
Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Thank you. The second item is 8-25, authorization, their honor the mayor requesting authorization to enter into negotiations for the potential lease on city properties for purposes of third-party construction, ownership, and operation of on-site renewable solar energy generation from which the city will purchase electric output and or net metering credits. Is there anybody here from the city to present this?
Yes, Counselor Gentile, Commissioner Morse here.
Okay, Josh, why don't you go right ahead?
Thank you very much. Thank you, committee. So this item went very smoothly at Public Facilities and answered the few questions that came up there. I'll try to cover the high points. There was a significant amount of backup provided. I will just remind you that the authorization to enter into the negotiation process is what ultimately allows us to advance the plans and then eventually determine what the finances are for the project. I will provide you with the same answer or same information that I gave at Public Facilities with respect to the impacts of decisions coming out of DC. There's a lot of uncertainty in the market right now. We hope to have a better handle on that in the coming months, but it's a long process to work through the negotiations. What I told Public Facilities, and I'll tell Finance, we will certainly come back to the City Council and update you along the way as that information becomes available. I expect, if anything, I think the tariffs might have more of an impact than the actions taken with respect to sustainability funding specific to these solar projects for a variety of technical reasons, but we shall see. That being said, there are 8 locations. These are all rooftop solar arrays: Mason Rice School, Pierce School, Pellegrini Park Field House, Cooper Center for Active Living, Lincoln Elliott School, Countryside School, Franklin School, and Bigelow School. Again, these are all rooftop, no carports associated with this. There are no trees that are being removed with any of these projects. And this will help us. This is phase 4 of our solar, and it will help us push towards generating the equivalent of 40% of our total municipal electricity consumption. So as I also shared at Public Facilities, Bill Ferguson went through the exercise of determining how we stand compared to the rest of the 351 communities in Massachusetts. And we're proud to say that we have more solar installations on our municipal properties than any other city or town in Massachusetts. So we are leading the way here. There are some, you'll also see in your backup that there are some early designs for some of the locations. Again, it's limited as to what the solar developer is willing to kind of present and create before we at least get into the lease negotiation process. But we wanted to give you kind of a flavor of what we are expecting. Again, very straightforward, flat roofs, and many of these are coordinated with our new projects. The vast majority of these panels will not be able to be seen by anybody unless you're in an airplane. There are a few locations like a Mason Rice where if you had a 3-story home and you were upstairs in the upper floor looking out, you might catch a profile of the solar panels, but they project about 18 inches off the flat roof. So it's a very low profile these days. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Josh, is the authorization that you're looking for this evening, is this basically the same authorization in the same way of installing solar as we have with all of our other projects?
That is correct.
So nothing's changed?
Nothing has changed.
Okay. Is it possible, I guess not now, but is it possible that there could be a different method, or are we always gonna be involved with, a third party to get this work done?
It's a very good question. The conversation of whether it makes sense to do a power purchase agreement with a third party or procure it ourselves is something we evaluate at every phase. I
Okay,
will say that there are advantages and disadvantages. The advantage to a third party is that it's turnkey. They handle all maintenance and operations, all of the, coordination, the long-term costs, inverter replacements is all handled by them. They take the risk and all of that. There's no capital outlay from the city. On the other side of the coin, if the city were to self-fund, the economics, the financial, the cash flow looks better, but we do need to factor in the cost of maintenance and kind of the logistics and planning associated with that. I will say this is where the actions happening in DC right now would be problematic because the current pause and potential threat to the Inflation Reduction Act, at least at this stage, without congressional action or some sort of legal action that plays out in the courts, the municipalities would not be eligible for the 30% federal tax credits. And in that case, it would turn the economics much more favorable towards the power purchase agreement. So for all those reasons, it is my recommendation that we continue with phase 4 under a power purchase agreement, but with the understanding that we're going to work together with the administration and update the city council with respect to what the financials look like as we move forward in the coming months.
and as far as the third parties, I mean, I can see this is bad. This is one of the problems about getting up in age. I can see the building in Framingham, but the name of the company escapes me, and we've worked with them on all 3 phases. What's the name of the company we've done a lot of business with?
Amoresco?
Amoresco. Do you expect that they will continue to be, a major partner? I remember I think it was the last time there was a new vendor that appeared on the scene. They made a lot of promises, or at least financially gave us some good numbers. And I know that we split it between Amoresco and this new company, but I don't think the new company ever came through with any of the jobs that they had originally been awarded, right?
Yeah, that's correct. We ended up having to pivot away from them. We're currently looking at both Amoresco and Select. Both are larger companies that do a lot of municipal work. Financially, they're pretty similar, but we're trying to spread that out for a variety of reasons, not the least of which is having a couple different companies doing work with us helps keep each of them honest.
Okay. Questions from committee members?
Counselor Greenberg has her hand up.
Go ahead, Counselor.
Oh, thank you, Chair. Commissioner, just a technical question. Will the solar panels on each of those buildings provide the electricity for each of those buildings, and then whatever is left over be sold? Is that how it works?
So there are a few different options that we'll evaluate, whether we want to tie it in behind the meter or after the meter. If it's tied in behind the meter, it feeds directly into the building and helps directly offset the electricity consumption. If it's after the meter, then it feeds the grid. Either way are beneficial. I think in general, we would prefer before the meter, but that'll be part of the analysis, especially with the market kind of in flux right now in the coming months. Thank you.
Anything else, Counselor? Counselor Greenberg, you all set?
She's all set.
Okay. Anyone else have a question?
No one else on the floor.
All right, Josh, I just wanted to ask about the property that I know best, which is Franklin. As you know, I had some concerns about the new site plan. It's going to impact some folks because the new school is going to go where there's open space right now. So, and it's pretty close to some of those neighbors. How is this going to work for Franklin, in your opinion? I'm pleased to hear that they're only would you say 18 inches?
Yeah, so they sit about 18 inches on the high end of the panels. Knowing the Franklin neighborhood, none of the homes, I can quite confidently say, none of the homes in the Franklin neighborhood are going to be able to see the solar panels.
Okay. I know you had several meetings. I went to a few of them. Is this going to be a surprise, or was it made were were the folks there made aware of the fact that there were gonna be solar panels?
So great question. We've discussed early and often the fact that we would be doing solar panels on the roof. There was no opposition expressed from anybody on that. There was some opposition expressed about the potential for a solar carport at that site. But again, I want to be very clear, the solar carport, there are no solar carports as part of what we're presenting on tonight.
Okay. And can I assume though, it's gonna have been a while that when the time comes that there'll be at least a reminder to people, that these panels are gonna be showing up so, people don't forget.
Absolutely.
Right.
And I've become quite close with our direct abutters on the Franklin School project. I can certainly remind them.
That I know, that I know. All right, any other questions? I don't believe there are.
Counselor,
So-
sorry, I do. Last minute question. So I know we just did some of these roofs and part was to make them solar ready. So I guess the first part of the question is, do you think those new roofs have held, especially with this recent weather? And then the second part is, do the solar panels make it harder to do any repairs as they go along?
It's a great
Thanks.
question. Thank you. So the first question, our roofs that we just replaced are holding up well. No issues there whatsoever. Not all of these are going to go on immediately. Like the Bigelow School, for example, we're trying to coordinate and get ahead of a replacement there. And that will then be coordinated. But to your second question about how solar panels impact maintenance, from a maintenance standpoint, it can be a little more challenging, but it can also be a benefit because the solar panels actually protect the rubber membrane where they are. So that actually helps extend the life of the system. We have not had any roof leaks underneath solar panels on any of our buildings, and we've had solar panels on rubber roofs for over 20 years now. It does make it a little more challenging when you need to do a roof replacement, but we have language within our contracts that help us with that, with respect to the contractor being, the developer being responsible for removal and reinstallation. Thank you.
All set, Council Bixby?
Yep, thank you.
Anyone else? Can I get a motion to approve the authorization?
I'll move.
Okay, motion has been made. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? I believe that's still 7-0.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And then the last item this evening is 10-25, Her Honor the Mayor requesting authorization to accept and expend the sum of $25,600 from the Mass Emergency Management Agency for technology updates in the Emergency Operations Center. Who's explaining this one?
Mr. Chairman, Chief Gentile is here.
Go right ahead, chief.
Thank you. We are requesting authorization to accept a grant from the Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency for $25,600. This is a reimbursement grant which will be used to replace technology within the Emergency Operations Center, including laptops and reoccurring costs such as internet service, both internal and mobile internet service. I welcome any questions you may have.
Questions from committee members? I don't see any. Carol, anybody in the chamber?
Nobody in the chambers.
I love accepting money. I'll move it.
Okay, I agree. All right, motion to accept the item made by Council Lipoff. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, the motion passes 7-0.
Thank you, Counselor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks, chief. Okay, so that's all we have this evening. Thank you all for coming in early so that we could get this work done. And I'll be reporting these out hopefully with a suspension of the rules in full council. And that would mean that we are adjourned for this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you.